Hello friends and welcome. My name's Popeye and today we're playing some more Steins Gate Zero, which may or may not be Shower with Your Dad Simulator. Um, Welcome to what may be the weirdest opening background music I've ever had. Um, before we get into it, this game has some mature themes. If any of these make you feel uncomfortable or are not for you, please find some place that would make you feel more comfortable tonight. This game deals with themes of uh, death, dismemberment, torture, abduction, rape, blood, gore, any of those things against a minor. I hate to say this, but there may be some slight less clothed than I would like scenes coming up that I will cover with my face if need be. Um, Hello, Samuses, for the first time. If you hadn't spent all those points making me stretch and hydrate, you might have shower juggle time. Gosh, that sounds awful. Yeah, last time we started really digging into the meat of the bad ending, which we're still in, by the way. Thank you for the host, Deadbeard. Um, yes, welcome to the meat shower. uh, Last time, we had started with we were leaving one of Daru's secret hacking job sites when some people who looked to be American went in after. Thank you for the quote. Welcome to the meat shower. Everything about the start of this episode makes me hate it. Maho and Dr. Leskin went back to America. We fast forward 6 months, so it's now June of the next year. So 1 year since the original Steins Gate started. Maho is working at the lab, trying to build a time machine, trying to do what Christina did, because she has like an inferiority complex and needs to try and match herself like tit for tat. At some point, Dr. Reyes goes to meet with Dr. Luskin, and she's like, this seems kind of weird, listens in, and gets caught, and basically we don't see her again, only that now Dr. Luskin's back in Japan, where he is heading up the nice, friendly American medical help and research team into big brain syndrome, encephalitis, I believe they call it, which our friend, who I believe I mistakenly called Kaide, and I don't actually remember her real name, so I'm just going to call her not Kaide, has been transferred there. So she's been in the hospital for, what's that, like 7 months now. And we went to go see her and saw Dr. Luskin was there. On the other side, Suzuha and Daru are busy trying to do stuff with the time machine. Suzuha is complaining that she's never going to be born because Daru doesn't make any moves on her mother. It's also another weird thing to say. And we also spent some time with Mayuri, where we got her some art supplies and the Upa, which would eventually be given to her daughter so that her daughter can take it back in time. And Suzuha finds it outside the door to the lab. So Kagari has been listening in on stuff happening in the lab. And then Suzuha went to take a shower, and we ended with a shower, and we're starting with a shower. I am ready for sure to hydrate. Here comes the shower water hydrate. Yum. I'm ready to move my face in front of this in case it gets a little dicey, let's say. You may see something temporarily. We'll try to ignore it and just move on. But like Suzuha, I sighed as I turned on the shower scene today. Thank you, Samuses. Since it was summer, she set the water temperature low. Usually people just say cold. It was barely any hotter than tap water. I mean, you can also set the temperature of tap water? Like, is this just not a common thing? She probably just showers in a jacket. So, fun story. In high school, I had a friend on the football team. I was on the football team, and American football, for anyone confused by that. And there was a guy, and he got this waterproof jacket, and he went up to the coach. He's like, "Coach, I got this brand new waterproof jacket. It's amazing." The coach was like, "How do you know it's amazing? Did you like put your arm in, like run it under the tap?" And he's like, "No, I just wore it in the shower, and I came up perfectly dry. It was amazing." So yeah, that's how you test your new waterproof jacket. Just take a shower with it. If you come out smelling and looking like you didn't take a shower, then it's probably a good jacket. As long as the water was pouring down on her, she could feel like all the bad memories were being washed away. I wonder if your phone is waterproof. I mean, if it's not, you can always do the thing I see people doing where they put it in the Ziploc bag and then, like, they hang it. She slapped her cheeks. It doesn't specify. Take imagine what you will. With both hands and turned off the water. The small tiled room suddenly became quiet. In the silence, she vigorously toweled off her hair. This building was never intended for anyone to live in. Not only was there very little room, there wasn't even a place to change. It was small, and there were no windows, and the steam from the shower room built up, making it an unpleasant sauna in summer. I love saunas in summer still. I am the person who goes in the sauna for 10 minutes, then jumps in the pool so it's freezing cold and repeats it. That's just all I do. If there's a sauna in a pool, that's what I'm doing. Supposedly, Atara no Kabe would sit naked next to the fans to get away from the heat and moisture. Of course, that was only when the girls, as well as Luca Urashibara, weren't around. But Suzuha couldn't do that. There were those huge scars on her chest. If she was careless and Yuki saw them, she'd have a big problem. Beardy, is that... Thank you for the follow, Four Gatherers. How are you? Perfect. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, that looks familiar. I thought I'd already done it. Interesting that you can follow even if you're banned. I mean, I guess, sure. But thank you for checking that. I saw it and I was like, I didn't want to be mean and not welcome them, but also I was like 95% sure that they should be banned. She always forced herself to change within this small space. The second she left the shower room, she realized something was wrong. Samus's, I do trust you. It's just that I'd heard this from Deadbeard. And he was here. That's why I went to him immediately. Okay, so, and Deadbeard, correct me if I'm wrong. This is just safety for everyone. There's certain accounts on Twitch right now that if you like follow them, go look at their page, whatever, they will try and get your like IP address, your location, and basically try and what's the word for it? Dox you. Um, yeah. There we go. Beardy has more information than I even knew. So yeah, so if first of all, if you are a streamer, please look into it yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Go look on the internet. There's probably lists lists of these types of users, and you should ban them. The lights were off in the part behind the curtain where the lab room was. She was sure she had left all the lab lights on when she'd gone to take a shower. She didn't remember turning them off. Still completely naked, she flung open the curtain. She dropped to the floor, ready to move. She could tell by the light of the shower room that there was no one else here. She didn't hear any breathing, and she didn't feel any other presence. Yes, yeah, that's the other user. I think Candy was saying she had banned 15 users. But those, the one that followed in Fragilities are definitely the two I've seen, that I've personally seen. I'm not sure about the other ones. And then, when he'd left, he turned off the lights? No, that couldn't be right. She looked around the room and saw that things had been moved in a way that an amateur wouldn't be able to notice. Tara's computer desk, the sofa area, the bookshelves, even the mini kitchen, someone had gone through them all. From the look of it, the same was probably true of the development room. Sousa had glanced over to all the areas where she kept her guns. Oh, okay, time out. First of all, you have multiple guns, and you've hidden them just, like, around the lab, and no one else has noticed this yet. The closest was the sofa that she used as a bed. She wanted to have one easily available if she was attacked while she slept. She'd cut out the back of one of the sofa cushions and hidden a suppressed semi-automatic pistol in it. I was just about to make that joke, Samus. I was about to say, is this how American couches work? Do they come with a gun compartment? It was just a .32 caliber for self-defense, nothing big. So it wouldn't do much damage unless you had good aim. It was small and relatively quiet, which made it the best choice for a place like this. Sousa tensed all of her muscles, coiling like a spring, and moved slowly towards the sofa without making a sound. As she did, she tried to notice any changes in the surrounding area. There was a small sound in the development room. It was a tiny, tiny creaking of the floor, to which you'd usually pay no mind. I mean, the other acceptable answer for an American-made sofa is it comes with the built-in fridge for beer and nachos. Supersized cola, I would also accept that as an American-made sofa. Boy, Crocodile Dundee, that bouncing deer has a gun compartment. But that was more than enough for Sousa. In an instant, she moved from quiet to action. I love how they had to preface this by saying this entire action sequence happens in the nude. As she cleared the distance to the sofa in an instant and quickly drew her gun. She held it ready and slipped into the shadow of the refrigerator. From this position, she could barely see into the development room. I mean, time out. You got someone who's naked and someone entirely in leather. I think I know where this is going, friends. Dominatrix time. The room became silent again. But this time the intruder in the other room didn't try to hide their presence. Die Hard would have been an entirely different film if it was nude. I'm just saying, if Die Hard was done in the nude, think about how much time and money you'd save on, like, the clothing department, on wardrobe. There's, like, how many people who are hostages at the party in it? How, like, that's so much money right there. Samus's, I've gotten to the point where I don't care. There's sometimes I say stuff and I'm like, yeah, it's that might get quoted. I'm at the point now where you guys just quote stuff that I'm like, oh, I said, oh. So I'm like, screw it, I'll just say it. Sousa had threatened the intruder in a low voice, but the intruder seemed completely unconcerned as they exposed themselves to Sousa's case. I think we're the ones exposing ourselves.
この暑いのによくそんな格好をしていられるな。ヘルメットだけでも取ったらどうだ？
This is a porn, right, guys? You, like, come into the apartment and like, hey there, you must be pretty hot wearing that. Why don't you take it off? The intruder was wearing a motorcycle suit, just like before. Even the helmet was the same. Porn pie plays better than Popeye porns. Didn't spend a full minute talking about eating wood. No, but I spent a full 30 seconds discussing how do you get thread into a needle with actions. The leather suit clung tight to their skin, revealing a voluptuous and perfectly proportioned body. Pop porn plays. Porn plays porn. It was clearly a woman. It was worse because, yes, and Mim clipped 2 versions of it, one with the whole context about threading a needle, and one where just me doing this. And of course he sends people the one of just me making actions. They must be... Don't tell them where it is. Just let them be confused. Let them be confused that you're like, it's in my pocket. Meanwhile, you're entirely naked. Yes. I mean, Samus's... I think this was on Zero's channel, because I think he and Irish are the ones that I think that have the shout-out clip off the top of my head. I think it was Zero's, where it's the one where it's me going to, like, a 17-year-old girl on screen. Hey, little lady, I bet I can fit a whole pound of pork in there, or whatever the quote is. It's bad. Sousa pointed towards the entrance of the shower room. The shirt she'd just taken off was lying there on the floor. Yep, that was Zero. There we go. See, Deadbeard was there for that. The girl in the motorcycle suit turned her head. Because the face mask was down, Sousa couldn't read her expression. Nah. The second she spoke, Kagari Shina was the first to move. She drew a deglossed military knife that she must have been hiding between her back and closed the gap between herself and Suzuha in an instant. Hello, Irish. Here is your hydrate. Apparently all my hydrates are shower water today. Suzuha pointed the gun at her legs and pulled the trigger, aiming carefully away from her vitals. We just make sure that people can't have children. She heard the small pop of a suppressed 32 and saw Kagari lose her balance and fall. Or she thought she did, but it was a feint. Instead of greeting Butler, I just want to let him know that he had a dream about him where he looked you in the eyes and said, I think Popeye Peas or Popeye Peas and Poops brand diapers would also work. I don't remember this quote at all. And what's worse, besides it being lucky number 13, and I'm sure it's going to come up a few times, is the first thing that went into my mind is, what if we just had, like, me scolding on the front face of the diaper? But it only appears when the diaper is wet, so if you pee yourself, it scolds you. Samus's is out. Meanwhile, we're having an intense action scene in the nude with Mayuri's daughter. Take that to Shark Tank. $1 million idea. Our friendly neighborhood wetness detection man. Man, that could have so many more applications. Can you imagine, like, you're building a basement, and you want to know if there's water damage, so you have a special, like, paint that you put on that just, you know, it just lets you know if there's water leakage by scolding you, that you should take better care of your house. She'd only pretended to lose her balance. In fact, she changed directions and was heading for the shower room. This is still a porn. The two people are going into the shower together. It seemed her first goal was to get what she'd come for. After firing only one shot, Suzuha realized. Even a 32 should have more recoil than this. She fired again, but Kagari didn't flinch even for a moment. At some point, all the bullets in Suzuha's gun had been swapped with blanks. That instant's panic was all it took. Kagari reached out for the shirt on the floor in front of the shower room. Yes, also hi, Butler. Suzuha gave up on firing and flung the gun at Kagari. There was a dull thud as the hard barrel slammed into her neck. Caught off balance, she staggered before she could grab the shirt. She could hear Kagari's voice for the first time from within the helmet. Suzuha jumped. She kicked the off-balance Kagari as hard as she could with her toned, muscled legs, which, just to remind everyone, are naked. This was no time to hold back. I could have greeted Irish by saying, "You didn't get the butt stuff you were hoping for, but are these drag queens good enough?" Kagari went flying all the way to the edge of the room. It had to have broken a few ribs. Or not. Suzuha had jumped toward her to continue her attack. But with terrifying speed, Kagari leapt off the ground and charged at Suzuha. There wasn't enough time to come to a full stop. A sharp blade swept by mere centimeters from her exposed abdomen. If she'd pulled back even a few tenths of a second later, the knife would have fatally sliced open her gut. The blood rushed to Suzuha's head. Kagari was serious. She was planning to kill her. There was no hesitation in her movements. Suzuha leapt back and searched for something she could use as a weapon. The other guns were probably no different. There was a good chance they'd all had their ammo swapped with blanks too. It was even possible that all her self-defense knives had been taken too, which left... There were several knives carefully stored in the kitchen. Yuki had brought them over to use in teaching the other girls how to cook. Kagari had evidently noticed them as well. She was moving to keep Suzuha from reaching them. Suzuha kept her distance from Kagari as she slowly moved along the wall. Her competitive drive burned even brighter as she tried to come up with a way to overcome her disadvantage. She picked up her shirt from the front of the shower room and took the screen keychain out of its pocket. The reveal, Samus's, was like literally, I don't know, 5 minutes ago. It's sort of something that's been going out throughout the game that, honestly, I didn't see it coming.
どうした？取りに来なよ。
Like, I was trying to think back all the times we saw this person was Kagari there. Her fingers moved as if to crush it. She could see Kagari twitch. For the first time, she could detect a hint of emotion from beyond the helmet. In an instant, she threw it at Kagari's stomach. And Deadbeard is redeemed to hydrate. The keychain flew in a slow arc, like she was tossing it to a friend. Something they loved was thrown like that, even the fiercest warrior would instinctively reach out both hands to grab it. Kagari was no exception. She carefully held her mother's memento in both her empty left hand and right hand, but still clutched the knife. Using the slow arc of the keychain as camouflage, Suzuha ran at her in a straight line. Her right fist connected hard with Kagari's stomach. Then her left arm smashed Kagari's head to the side. Kagari's body fell to the ground, her right shoulder taking the brunt of the fall. Suzuha could hear the sound of her joint dislocating. Knife slipped from her grasp. Suzuha got behind her and mounted her, twisting her right arm mercilessly. I think I'm gonna have to cover that. At the same time, she slipped her own left arm around Kagari's neck and squeezed hard. So now you just get to see me talking and pretending it's porn. She could hear something like a moan from Kagari's throat. She could both hear and feel the bones in her arm and neck creaking. But Kagari picked up the knife on the floor with her left hand. Once again tried to use on Suzuha. I realize I also have to read out what... So Suzuha had said, "Stay put, I'm not going to kill you," since you can't see that text on screen. Suzuha was forced to squeeze her arm and neck even harder. And just for your own information, all that's happened is they zoomed in on her, panned up so you can see her face and her chest, and then back down. I should crop the camera back. Yeah, I should do a better, like, side crop. I'm not usually in this screen, though, so I usually don't care. Also, my setup's probably changing within like a month and a half, so I'm not going to worry about changing this one. Kagari's just grunting. Suzuha. Oh, you meant to not cover the text. Okay, fair enough, yeah. Suzuha says, "Stop it, Kagari." I understand how you feel now, but it's wrong. It's wrong. But Kagari didn't stop. If anything, she tried even harder to pull Suzuha away. Suzuha internally says, "What kind of training did she get?" Even in all the battles she'd been in, this much pressure on two different spots was enough to get even the toughest soldier to submit or fall unconscious. Terrified, Suzuha squeezed even harder. At this rate, she wouldn't simply knock her out. She really would kill Kagari. But if she stopped, Kagari would kill her. What should she do? Every frame has to have her chest, like, right in the middle. And Kagari says, "Big sis Suzuha, it hurts, it hurts." And then she heard a sad, weak voice from inside the helmet. It startled her, and she relaxed both her arms. But that was just what Kagari had hoped for. The knife came very close to cutting Suzuha's left arm. When she let go to dodge it, Kagari shook her off, kicked at her hips with both legs. Suzuha was slammed back hard into the computer desk, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. She fell to the floor, and the printer and monitor crashed mercilessly onto her naked body. Okay, I think we can bring it back, hopefully. She forced herself to stand up, gasping hard as she did so. I don't know, Samus is. Kagari's breathing was heavy too. Her right arm was pointed in an impossible direction and hanging limp. She wouldn't be able to use it for a while, probably. But her left arm was still holding the knife. Suzuha glared at Kagari's face. I thought she could see what it looked like from behind the helmet. That's her problem with Game of Thrones. The two of them fell silent as they tried to catch their breath. The tension in the air was so thick that it was difficult to move a muscle. Sweat rolled down her forehead and into her eyes. But she still didn't blink as she waited for Kagari to make her next move. Also, she thought her shower was entirely pointless. It was the sound of the front door opening that broke their stalemate. Suzuha felt a chill run down her spine when she heard Ataru's voice. She yelled at the exact same instant. He turned on the lights. Sun brightness was enough to make Suzuha flinch for an instant. Kagari was wearing a full-face helmet, and that made all the difference. She leapt towards Ataru just a moment before Suzuha. Kagari's black knife went up to his throat. I mean, you kill Daru. Suzuha never gets born. Problem solved. Kagari spun around behind him, using Ataru's huge body as a shield. Suzuha staggered toward him, gritting her teeth. But Kagari remained silent as she headed outside the door with her hostage. Except she didn't take her hostage, because Daru's still here, for some reason. And then the next moment, she shoved him forward. And now he's gone. I don't know. He should have been gone, and then he should have just appeared again now. Come on, guys. Daru lost his balance and fell towards Suzuha. Suzuha fell to the ground underneath his weight. Now, I don't like where this is going, Samus. Ataru just barely managed to support himself with his arms and legs to keep from crushing her. Suzuha tried to shove him off using a little more force than she may have intended. But Ataru was so huge it would take a moment to get up. She was getting away. She somehow managed to crawl out from under him and quickly tried to follow Kagari. Ataru was still lying on the ground as he tossed the naked Suzuha her shirt. He grabbed it and quickly put it on, then ran outside. When she looked around the street, the girl and the motorcycle others wasn't there. There's no way to even know where she'd gone. It It would be dangerous to run around alone, trying to find her now. There was a chance Taro would be attacked while she wasn't at the lab.
今のってまさかかがりたん
Special Agent Gibbs appears out of nowhere, points a gun at Kagari, and everything ends happily. Except for the fact that Kagari goes to jail. Taro came outside as well.
多分間違いない。
そっか。
結局あの子とはこうなっちゃうんだな。
The bruises and wounds were bad enough, but the pain that ached in her heart was the worst of all.
私さ、あの子のこと本当に好きだったんだ。
うん。
小さくても勇敢で、まゆ姉さんを守るためにいつも頑張ってて、私もそんなあの子にいろいろなことを教えた。きっと妹みたいに思ってた。
うん。
けどあいつはもう完全に敵だ。
Taro straightened up her shirt sleeves.
今の鈴葉、なんかエロゲーの地上キャラっぽい格好になってる。
And there's the text we were all expecting Daru to say, and he eventually says it, because of course. Suzuha was caught completely off guard. True, her t-shirt only came down to just below her hips, roughly the length of a miniskirt. Her breasts were almost completely bared. The shirt's hem was turned up and she felt exposed. Daru can...
地上物も結構いける口なんで、乱れた裸 T シャツというのもありといえばありですが、むふ。
またそうやってふざける。大怪我してたかもしれないのに。
But Ataru shook his head.
僕さ、さっきはナイフ見て騒いじゃったけど、でも怖がる必要なかったんじゃないかなって。あれがもし僕の聞き間違いじゃなかったら。
Ataru rubbed the part of his neck where the knife blade was.
ナイフを突きつけられてた時、ほんの少しだけど聞こえたんだよ。
何が？
彼女、多分泣いてた。
え
Crying? Under that helmet? After the whole battle with Suzuha? While holding a knife to Ataru's neck? How many questions can I ask? Why?
だからさ、決めつけるのはまだ早いんじゃね？
父さん。
の？
アイス買ってきてくれた？バニラ。
ああ、もちろん。
食べたいな。私。
If you crushed the ice cream with your body when you fell in the door... And then she almost fell forward. Ataru managed to catch her before she hit the ground. Yeah, Daru shaming's allowed. King shaming no. Daru shaming yes.
ごめん。平気。でも少しだけ休ませて。
Although, to be fair, Daru's search history starts with, "You ever hug someone so hard you just cave in their face?" Wait, he's hugging us right now. That was all she had the energy to say. She closed her eyes in her dad's arms as he caved in her face, and her consciousness melted away. We're dead now. See, that's why I have to switch to a new person. We're dead now. It's now, what's that, July 3rd. When July came, the sun shone down even harder on eastern Japan. Summer was truly here. The news had been saying for days. The heat island effect might make this the hottest summer in years. And then on the first Sunday in July, I met with Maho in Akihabara. I was waiting at the open cafe at the UPX when Maho arrived. She was a little late. She ordered an iced coffee and took a deep breath. Will the heat make this the hottest summer? Or will it be the beachgoers shouting, I think this is a two-person bean job? Her habit of paying no attention to her clothes or looks hadn't changed at all in the last 6 months. People were going to think she was an elementary school kid who decided to go play at a friend's house. But it would upset her if I said that, so I never would. Yeah, there's a big problem. I can't look at my phone. Because they wanted her to just appear on our phone. I heard a voice from my smartphone, which I'd placed on the table. I'd left the Amadeus app turned on. Of course, Chris could hear everything we said. But I'd been a dick and turned her camera face down, so all she could see was darkness. It was turning into our old relationship in the Alpha World line, where we'd fought all the time. I was starting to lose track of whether that was a good or bad thing for me. I thought I was trying to forget about Chrissy. The two of them spoke in unison. I guess I was right not to comment on her outfit. That was a close call. Maho simply smiled and ignored her. Well, I knew my personality had gotten a bit negative, and I'd changed my entire wardrobe from white to black. Especially given what I'd been through. Did you really need to say that to Maho right now? An eye for an eye it is then. A few weeks ago, I'd actually searched for Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha on a whim. The handle Chris had used on that channel when she was still alive. From what I'd seen, the comments started in summer of 2008, then abruptly stopped in July of 2010, then started up again in December of the same year. Even now in July 2011, they were still appearing. It wasn't Chrissy's ghost, and it wasn't an imposter, and the one who could be writing those posts was...
やっぱりお前の仕業だったか。さすがに黙っているのはまずいんじゃないか。
魔法先輩に報告するなんてもっとまずいわよ。
なんで？
私がアートチャンネルを見てることは一言も教えてないからに決まってるでしょ。
堂々としていればいいじゃないか。アットチャンネルを見るのも書き込むのも別に犯罪じゃないんだし。そうだろ？アットチャンネラークリス。
あったね。次にその呼び方したらあることないことアットちゃんに書き込んでやるわよ。
それこそ犯罪一歩手前の行為だろう。
I couldn't help but laugh. Conversations like this brought back so many memories. I used to be so full of myself that I'd tick off Chrisu all the time.
ねえ、一体何の話？
This is a very private conversation.
気にしないでください。海馬からきれいさっぱり今日の記憶を頬張り去ってください。
隠していたっていつかはバレるぞ。
あんたはいいから黙りなさい。やっぱりあなたたち半年前よりずっと仲良くなっているわね。あ、先輩、すみません。どうして謝るの？あ、いえ、せっかく岡部と真帆先輩久々に会ったのに私ばかり話してしまって。というわけで、あとはお二人でごゆっくりどうぞ。別にそんなつもりで言ったんじゃないわよ。それもこれも岡部が変なことを言い出したせいね。
Yeah, no worries.
栗ご飯とカメハメハ。
お願いだから言わないで。
Now you're worried. Just like the real Christy, she was strangely obsessed with hiding the fact that she was an at
ちょっ
channeler.
と頭を冷やしたいので一度切りますね。失礼します。
Christy disappeared from the screen. Christy had been kind of rude lately, so it felt good to have a chance to get back at her. However did it, she was probably going to hold a grudge. This was likely a good place to stop.
栗ご飯って何なのよ。
どうしても知りたかったらクリスに聞いてくれ。
Apparently she's capable of emitting loud Animal Crossing music? Yep. If I explained it, she'd probably get mad and refuse to talk to me again.
それで今回はどれぐらいの間こっちに滞在することになりそうなんだ？
前よりも長くなるかもしれないわね。レスキネン教授が研究している新型脳炎は未だに詳しいことがほとんど分かっていないようだから、もしかしたら私だけ先に帰らされる可能性もあるけど。
時間があったらラボにも顔を出してみるといい。ダルやマユリもきっと喜ぶはずだ。
マユリさんはともかく橋田さんはどうかしら。
Okay. Maho is finally starting to understand Daru's true nature. Everyone should after about 2 conversations with him. Speaking of Daru, he should be on a date with Yuki Amane right now.
ちなみにクリスのノート PC はその後どうしたの？
あれは破棄したよ。それが一番いい判断だったんだ。前にそう話しただろう。
ええ、そうね。
She looked down, a sad expression on her face. I told her I was going to do it ahead of time, but it still must have upset her to see one of the last things she had to remember Chrissy by destroyed. Oh, we're Suzuha again. Oh, is it time for the ramen eating or the curry eating competition? About half the seats at Go Go Curry were full. It was Sunday, but it was also after 2 p.m., and so the lunchtime rush was over. Suzuha was sitting at the restaurant's far edge, a baseball cap pulled down over her face. She was hiding her face with the cap and carefully watching a couple sitting nearby. Have we not covered curry? One of the items on Go Go Curry's menu consists of an extra large portion of rice, a pork loin katsu, chicken katsu, hot dogs, fried shrimp with tartar sauce, and a boiled egg. Go Go Gadget Curry. A cheerful employee put down 2 giant silver plates, or trays more accurately, in front of them. Suzuha could see the other customers looking at them and whispering. The couple really stood out after all. The man was a giant who looked like he ate major curry all the time, but the woman was slim, pretty, and looked very kind. The combination of a huge man and slim woman was as unbalanced as the combination of pretty girl and major curry. This song's getting in your head? The major curry was big. It was huge. Suzuha knew from experience. The massive silver trays were loaded with rice and curry, and topped with 2 fried cutlets, fried shrimp, sausage, a boiled egg, and a mountain of cabbage. There was 2 or 3 times as much curry as you'd find in a normal dish, and the toppings were just as big. Even a growing young boy would find it hard to eat them all. As long as it's not like the screen captures I took in university, Deadbeard, I did a course on 3D animation, and we just had to do, I think it was something simple. You had like a fish and it like went up and down, and there was like some seaweed and it like wove through the seaweed. It was something like that. And the prof had given us a piece of software that would capture the video so we could send it to him and show him, you know, what the end project was. And what he didn't tell us was that it's literally just taking screen grabs and then processing them together into a video. So, the first time, the video, it took like half an hour to run all the frames. So the first time you see the fish, it starts, and you see me opening up YouTube and watching videos and stuff. And then I close it and take a look at the stuff a few times. It's like, well, crap, I have to redo it. I redo it a second time, this time making sure I'm not doing anything that's going to cover up my video so that it gets recorded. Well, wouldn't you know it, the screensaver comes on. So about halfway through, you have the fish going like this, screensaver. So, I had to do it a third time, with me just like mouse in the bottom corner outside of the capture area, just moving it. Encoding that, like, just getting that video together probably took me, I don't know, 3 hours when it really should have taken 1. Suzuha was irritated. The Beauty and the Beast couple that Suzuha was watching, of course, was Itaru and Yuki. In the morning, they'd gone to see a movie in Yurakucho. Then they'd come to Akihabara and gone straight to Go Go Curry. Suzuha had followed them the whole time. That's why she couldn't believe Ataru's choice of date spots. She clutched her spoon tight and gritted her teeth. Suzuha knew next to nothing about Japanese youth culture in 2011, and even she knew it was a bad idea. Who knew what was going through Yuki's mind, or so Suzuha thought. But... Surprisingly, Yuki was ignoring the people around her and innocently enjoying the huge curry.
天音もし食べきれなかったら僕が食べてあげるですから。はい、
ありがとうございます。けどこれでも私結構いけるんですよ。
そうですか。びっくりですよ。
実はいつもお店の外でメニューだけ見てて一度食べてみたかったんですよね。連れてきてもらえて嬉しいです。
それは実に良かったですよ。
Souza had evidently worried over nothing. Still, she realized that Ataru was acting strangely. Ever since he'd come out of the movie theater, he was walking and talking strangely. Instead of his usual hunched posture, he was forcing himself to stand up straight. Curse you, movie, for giving him good posture! His every movement seemed oddly forced, as if he were a broken robot. He downed glass after glass of water.
ごめんなさい。私にもお水のおかわりを。
はいどうぞ。
ありがとうございます。
Taro poured water into Yuki's cup. Souza had a bad feeling. And she was right, Ataru was moving so awkwardly that he almost spilled water on her hand. They said almost.
ちょっと手が濡れただけですから。それより早く食べましょう。
Yuki quickly wiped the table with her handkerchief and grabbed her fork and spoon. There were stars in her eyes.
それじゃあいただきます。
いただきます。
Yuki seemed to be really enjoying her meal, but Ataru was very formal and quiet. He was taking little nibbles out of a piece of fried cutlet, like a squirrel eating a nut. The whole time they weren't saying a word.
一体何をやってるんだ父さんは。あんなんじゃ母さんに愛想つかされちゃうよ。
She decided to send him a message on Orion, telling him to get his act together. And she'd just taken out her phone when... A huge plate was laid on the table in front of her. The other customers started murmuring again. Come to think of it, when she followed them into the store, she'd ordered her usual major curry with extra roe, and then forgotten about it. Everybody was going to focus on her. In a small shop like this, it was suicide.
あら
Just as she expected, her eyes met with Yuki's.
鈴葉さん、いたんですか？偶然だね、ゆきさん、兄さん。声かけてくれればよかったのに。いや、気がつかなかったんだよ、全然。
How do you not notice Daru? She realized she should probably leave, but she couldn't go without at least taking a bite of the major curry in front of her. Her experiences in the ward left her completely unable to waste food. She felt Yuki and Itaru staring at her as she reluctantly picked up her spoon.
とまあ、そういうことなんで、二人ともごゆっくり。
Her only choice was to finish her extra-large curry as soon as possible. She couldn't let herself be in the way. Instead, Yuki came over and picked up Susa's plate.
すみません、店員さん。お友達なんですけど、席を移ってもいいでしょうか。
はい、どうぞ。
OK ですって。一緒に食べましょうよ。ちょっと、なんでって、ほら、鈴葉さんもメジャーカレーじゃないですか。これはぜひ勝負せねばと思って。
Oh, you are not winning this race.
審判は橋田さんにやってもらいましょう。
Before Suzuha could respond, Yuki had moved her plate over to their table.
いや、
She had no choice but to follow. Before she sat down, she whispered in Yuki's ear. It whispered in her ear, we gotta do it. This is what she whispered. Dragon beans? I hope dragon beans isn't just another name for their testicles.
だよね。え、あ、そうです。デート中です。改めて言われると照れますね。
ね
Itaru didn't react at all, even though she was sure he'd overheard that.
私デートとかしたことないから詳しくないんだけどさ、デート中に他の女とカレーの早食い対決したりするもんなの？さあ、どうでしょう。でもほら、アニメとかコミックスとかにそういうのありません？お兄ちゃんを取られたくない妹が彼女さんに向かって勝負だみたいなの。
I don't like the idea of Dara being the main character of an anime or manga. For some reason, Yuki seemed incredibly enthused. Suzuha was overwhelmed by her energy.
知らないってば。そういうものなの？兄さん。
Even when she turned to Itaru for help, he just awkwardly sat there eating his curry like a robot.
兄さん？
He awkwardly turned his head to face her. The rest of him stayed completely still.
なんか言った。
どうしたのさ？なんかおかしいよ。
どうもしてないお。おかしくないお。
Suzuha glanced back at Yuki. What did you do? And for the first time, Yuki looked concerned. In the end, Yuki and Suzuha did have their curry eating contest, and surprisingly, both of them completely finished their meals. Suzuha won by a very small margin, but the battle was exciting enough that not only the other customers, but the staff as well were applauding at the end. The whole time, Itaru kept eating by himself. Since this wasn't even a conversation, let alone a date, she sent Itaru home alone. Part of her wanted to demand Itaru explain himself right now, but she decided to talk to Yuki instead. She tried her best to avoid Yuki so far in order to keep her identity a secret, but it was July now. She would be gone from this era very soon. This might be her last chance to talk to Yuki at all.
鈴葉さんがいてくれて助かりました。
Yuki sighed a little after Itaru left.
私、もしかしたら気に障るようなことをしちゃったのかもしれません。橋田さん、私といてもあんまり楽しくないみたいだったから、単に緊張してただけじゃないかな。でも映画を見る前は楽しそうにお話ししてくれてたんですよ。それが映画
What
の後
movie did you
はす
watch?
っかりよそよそしくなってしまって、私何か間違っちゃったのかな。
What movie did you
カ
watch?
レー屋さんに連れて行ってもらったのも私のリクエストだったんですけど、ずっとあの調子だったからさすがにちょっと困ってしまって、それで偶然お店にいた鈴葉さんに助けを求めたというわけです。
What had happened inside the theater? The movie's tagline was probably... How did we get this quote again? But it's a good one. Didn't get the butt stuff you were hoping for. But are these drag queens good enough? We have over 100 quotes. This quote has appeared multiple times. Suzuha hadn't followed them inside. She spent about 2 hours killing time outside.
あのさ、ゆきさんはなんで兄さんのこと好きになったの？いや、私が言うのもなんだけど。
I mean, we did also get a quote that no one seemed to remember existed.
鈴葉さんはお兄さんのことどう思います？私？好きですか？嫌いですか？
Deadbeard wants to get a tattoo of this quote. Okay, I'm gonna have my teacher flash all these guys.
好きですよね。見ていればわかります。
What about one small demail and you could get the sisterly touch?
まあ、
That one's come up a few times, but it's pretty rare. There were parts of him that she didn't like. I say questionable things. And yet you decide to listen continually. But of course she loved her dad.
で、私のことは別にどうでもいいじゃないか。それで、ユキさんは？私はまだ好きかどうかもよくわからないです。
I just had to take a look at this because when the text is up, it kind of just like the way it has the bits at the side, it kind of looked like her elbow just like ended, and I was like, okay, no, they have it there. You would argue they make more sense with context, but no, they don't.
そっか。
Not only had Hitaru not told Yuki he liked her, this was still their first date, and they hadn't spoken that much before either. She hadn't even reached the point where she saw him as a member of the opposite sex. For almost a year, Susa had stayed with them, and she, Mayuri, and Ferris had done everything they could to get the two of them together. There hadn't been any real progress. Susa felt uneasy when she thought about the future. Maybe her dad wouldn't be her dad anymore. Maybe her mom wouldn't be her mom anymore. Dad and Mom wouldn't be together. Dad would go out for milk and never return. Mom would break all of his things. It wouldn't make her feel better. She imagined that future.
そんなの嫌だ。
She looked straight into Yuki's eyes.
私さ、
Eyes.
もうすぐここからいなくなるんだ。ちょっと遠いところに引っ越すんだよね。そうなんですか？多分戻ってこないと思う。心配なんだ。父さん、兄さんのこと。だからさ、ユキさん、こんなこと私が頼むのもおかしな話なんだけど。
Then she bowed deeply.
橋田至をよろしくお願いします。
There was no answer from Yuki. Susa looked up afraid and tried to gauge the expression on her face. She looked kind of lonely and kind of sad.
私はどうしたいんでしょうね。
Yuki whispered, and then Susaha.
ああ、もうどうするんだよ。これじゃ破局の危機だよ。まだ始まってもいないけど。
As soon as she got back to the lab, she yelled at her useless father.
うおー、スズハごめんな。橋だけはもうダメなんだお。
しょぼくれてるんじゃない。シャレじゃ済まないんだ。とりあえず今日はなんであんな態度を取ったのかしっかり説明して。今朝出かけるときはあんなに楽しそうだったじゃないか。母さんだって映画の途中までは普通だったって言ってたし。一体何があったの？
いや、それがさ、聞いてくれよ。映画の座席って狭いじゃん。だから僕、天音氏の邪魔にならないようにと思ってできるだけ椅子の端っこに寄って座ってたんだよね。そしたら椅子がベキっていって壊れそうになって。 で慌てて体を支えようとして肘掛けを掴んだんだけど、それが
What did you grab onto?
天主のその手だったんだお。
うん、そんなこと母さん一言も言ってなかったけど。
嘘じゃないよ。あの柔らかい感触は肘掛けのはずがない。女の子の手に決まってる。
そう。
ただ僕、女の子と手をつなぐなんて2次元ならともかく3次元じゃほとんど経験なくて。
I've held a lot of 2D girls' hands. Does Nintendo have some new Wii technology I'm not aware of? Is this how the Power Glove was supposed to be used for 2D hand holding?
それでどうしたの？
天主優しいからさ、僕を傷つけないようにと思ったのか、その手を振りほどかないんだお。僕ってこの体型じゃん。手汗とかかきまくりじゃん。ベッタベッタになるわけじゃん。なのに天主、何にも言わずそのままで。なんかそれからすごく意識するようになっちゃって。
ああ、なるほどね。それであんなにポンコツになってたのか。
天主もきっと心の中でキモいうざい話せ変態って思ってたに違いないよ。
母さんはそんな人間じゃないよ。
In fact, from the way she was acting, she probably thought she'd upset him somehow. Problem was what she'd said.
私はどうしたいんでしょうね。
What did she mean by that?
母さんがわからない。
すずはこうなったら母さんのことは諦めて僕と二人で仲良く生きていこう。
No, she can't live. That's the problem.
言ってることがめちゃくちゃだよ。そもそも私はどうやって生まれてくればいいんだ。
でも無理だって。
父さんが頑張らないでどうするの？このピンチをチャンスに変えるんだよ。
She grabbed her father by the collar and shook him.
出ないと。
This is like Back to the Future, but but worse, because no one likes Daru. He remembered how sad Yuki had looked when they'd said goodbye.
出ないと取り返しがつかないことになるよ。
Sousa's hand's gonna start going transparent, and pictures of her are gonna go away.
ですよね。
Did anyone really like Marty? I mean, okay, opening scene of Back to the Future, and Marty's like, "Ah, oh, cool, new amp. Don't crank it up to 11. Let's crank it up and just like blow up everyone's stuff." Aw, yeah. He was kind of a dick. Sousa was starting to wonder about leaving, especially now that she had even more to worry about. Maybe I shouldn't have talked to Yuki after all. She realized again how powerless she was from being from the future. The Global Brain Science Comprehensive Research Organization Japanese Office Prep Room was looking for a much shorter name. In Wako City hadn't changed a bit in 6 months. It was still far from being what it needed to be, and still almost completely empty. There were rows and rows of empty desks. The amount of dust on the tables had perhaps increased. Plus the whole first film was just watching him inner dialogue with, "Don't bang my mom, don't bang my mom. I have to make my dad bang my mom, I have to make my dad bang my mom." After Dr. Leskinen had left, it had probably remained unused.
わざわざ呼びつけてすまないね、リンタロウ。
ああ、いえ。
Dr. Leskinen told me he wanted to update the Amadeus app to the latest version, so I'd come to his office after class. Maho had connected my phone to her PC to begin the process. It said it would only take 10 minutes, so I was sitting around and waiting.
ところでリンタロウ、以前にも話したと思うが、本気で留学について考えてみないかい？
It's like that meme where it's the person's talking about the like the grandfather issue, where if you go back in time and kill your grandfather, then you're never born, and you create the paradox. And it's just someone like, I've done it, I've created the paradox, I killed my grandfather. And the person's like, but what about the time travel? What time travel?
君が問題なければ推薦状も書こうじゃないか。もちろんテストや面接はパスする必要があるけどね。
I frantically straightened my posture.
とてもありがたい話なんですが、今の俺の学力じゃまだ難しいかと。俺真剣にビクトル・コンドリア大を目指しているんです。だからこそ絶対に失敗したくなくて、そのためにはせめてあと1年本気で勉強すべきだって思っていて。
Your dad remarries and you marry one of his partner's parents, you're legally your own grandfather. Is your dad So I remember hearing this, and I've never actually Googled it to see if it's true or not, but I think it was Elon Musk's dad married his wife's sister or something. So his dad was his brother-in-law. It was something really weird. I remember hearing it on the radio when I was driving to work at one day, and I'm just like, what is going on? Why is this on the radio? This is important news? Like, oh, don't talk about the traffic. Talk about Elon Musk's family tree situation. Dr. Luskin pursed his lips as I tried to stammer out an explanation, but soon...
Okay.
He patted me on the shoulder and smiled.
君はとても思慮深い青年だね。
そうですか？そんな風に言われたのは初めてですが。
If your family tree is described as this situation, maybe it is news. Saying it was one thing, but maybe I was just a coward. There were many times when I needed the courage to move forward without being afraid of failure. Was now one of those times? No, because this is the bad ending.
そうですね。
Had I missed my chance? Would Dr. Luskin wait until next year? I started to get nervous.
本を詰めすぎるのも良くないよ。例えば大学を見学に行くだけでもモチベーションのアップにつながると思う。
Yes, this is still the bad ending.
見学ですか?
I mean, I don't know what the good ending has, but a naked fight? It's pretty hard to beat right there. Endings in this game are like 3 to 5 hours.
ぜひ一度一緒に行ってみないかい?
Huh? そこまでしてもらえるなんて。
You blame Hero. Yeah, Hero's always here cursing the ending length.
もちろん私は次いつ
You thought for sure this was a good ending.
時期については明言できないがね。
はい。
Ha ha ha. I bowed my head in gratitude. Meeting Dr. Luskin was a real lucky break for me. By chance, my eyes met Maho's. She instantly became depressed and left. For some reason, her smile was a little sad. She quickly looked away and went back to her work. Your premature celebration. Maho was staying in a business hotel a few stops down from Wako City. She said she deliberately avoided staying in the same hotel as last time. However, we reused the exact same art as last time.
少し不便になったけれどね。
というか、 少しは片付けたらどうだ?
She hadn't spent that much time in Japan and it was already messy.
片付ける？私は自分が一番効率的に過ごすことのできる配置をしているだけよ。
Reusing art, suspicious. Which meant she was refusing the hotel's cleaning service. I could hear Chrissy from my phone. She was annoyed. What else was new? After the app updated, I'd left Amadeus running. She was very tired. She'd run about 10 miles at this point. I mean, you literally got a giant bag of trash in the corner. Well, cleaning wasn't a specialty of mine either. It wouldn't be right to give her too much of a hard time. I'd come to Maho's hotel because she said she wanted to talk to me about something. I wouldn't have minded talking about it in the office, but she insisted on speaking alone, in her hotel room, with an AI watching. I knew she didn't mean anything by it. After knowing her for half a year, I knew she wasn't the type. Don't criticize the trash. Maho looked like she was having trouble finding the word she wanted to say. Decorative waste. I have a special waste planter basket to allow the waste to flourish before I send it off to the Trash Olympics run by my city. I quickly shut down the Amadeus app. I can't open my phone either way. How should I answer that? Last time, she'd been trying to decrypt Chrissy's laptop. I was willing to tell her what I'd experienced in order to get her to stop. In the end, I'd lost the chance, though. But things were different now. Chrissy's laptop was gone. There was no reason to bring it up anymore. Imagine responding to everything Beardy says with, "I'd rather have water," or "water." At least it's not shower water. But then Maho said something I didn't expect. Okay, Samus has got the hydrate and Samus wants the stretch. You get weird, creepy music stretch, I guess. I don't know what else to call this. Okay, chair goes there, camera goes up. Gotta earn that hydrate. Alright. Does that mean if I don't move, I don't get water? I should not get a whole lot of water then. Because I feel like my time is either I'm doing nothing in my chair at a computer either for pleasure or for work, or there's like the odd, I wouldn't say odd time, I actually work out fairly regularly, but when I work out I like to go hard. Does your body process less water when you're less active? I would assume so. Makes you feel better you're out of points. I would assume so, and I mean it also depends on the weather. Like in the summer, if you're outside in the sun and you're sweating, you're definitely going to use up more water than if it was, say, like a chilly November morning. That's for certain. When you go hardest to make the workout more effective. Yeah, it's more effective because it diverts wind. It makes you more streamlined. Well, I actually cramped up on that. So it's good we're stretching. If you sit down for 28 hours a day, you're not very healthy. Beardy's been making me hydrate probably every time he has 500 points is the answer. Yeah, there you go. Lots of water. I'm going to stretch this leg a bit longer just because it did cramp up. I'm also going to have more water afterwards, because usually that's a sign of not having enough water. Okay, let's see if that... Okay, there we go. It's better now. Give it a bit of stretching. Yeah, exactly. Like how you make me juggle every time you have 5k points. Although, Sam says you've gotten to the point where even if you have the 5k points, you wait until you try and time it so that it's it has good music to go along with it. And when I say good music, I mean bad music for me, good music for you. Okay. There we go. You don't get points for viewing because Chromecast is anonymous. Oh, I hadn't even... Because Chromecast is something I want in my house. Just to, like... I enjoy playing games. I would much rather play my games on a big screen TV than on my monitors.
クリスにできたのなら私もって思ってしまって歪んだ対抗意識ね意地になっているのかもでもね
It's fantastic for laziness.
もしタイムマシンを作ることができたらクリスのことを救えるかもって
やめろ
The one thing I'm still trying to figure out is if I had like my Steam stuff Chromecasting onto the computer and I wanted to play with a controller, I'll have to probably get like a wireless controller, a Bluetooth one, because this one I have is corded, so I could play from the couch. This was awful. I think I need Steam Link for that. Oh yeah, it's something I want to check out once. That's what's for it. It also sends a control stick. Great, I'll have to look into that. It's something that's been on my mind to look into, but I didn't want to look into it until it was like actually time to do it, in case new stuff came out. A Valve Tendo Switch.
バカなことは考えるな。
岡部さん。
マキセクリスを救おうなんて考えるんじゃない。
No, don't send me one. The shipping alone is not worth it.
そんな可能性はゼロなんだ。
Because we have I guess you'd call them family. It's my aunt used to take in like a lot of university students who'd come like overseas to study, and like she basically treated them as if they were family. And one of them lives in Australia with her now husband, and they are dairy farm researchers. So they do research into cattle. And we often send them just like a Christmas card and like, you know, a box of like maple syrup, and like they have a daughter, so we'll send her something like a book or something. And those packages, first of all, you have to send them out by like end of October, early November. They don't make it for Christmas. It's like 6 weeks shipping by boat, and it costs so much money.
神の設営がそれを 許さない。
やっぱり
It's by weight, so it depends how big and how heavy your box is. So if you have like a light box, you're still probably looking at least like, I don't know, 30, 40 American. From Canada, what are we shipping? Books. The stuff that my family ships, it's like books. We'll send like a bottle of maple syrup sometimes. Stuff like that. So it's got a bit of weight to it. You're probably looking at a couple. Oh, Beardy shipping to me. What was it called? The Steam Link thing? I think that's what it was. I'd have to scroll up in
あ
chat.
なたやっぱり何か知っているのね。
Maho got closer to me.
実現させたの？クリスはタイムマシンを完成させている？あなたはそれに乗ってすでに人類初のタイムトラベルを行ったんでしょ？そうなんだわ。
The other thing I was wondering is, because I know you can, what's it called? If you have multiple computers online on the same network, and Steam is installed on one, you can like broadcast from the one computer which runs it onto a secondary computer. I was wondering if it would make sense to like set up a secondary like lesser computer or laptop next to the TV, and then run everything off there to control it, but my actual PC powers it. Same concept. You run a Windows game on your Linux machine. Maybe? It uses the same service. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that was like my leading thought of like how to do it, and then... Yeah, and then if I was using... If I was just like doing videos, I guess I could do it off the lesser laptop and Chromecast it. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, it'll probably depend when I actually move into the house, what like our setup looks like, how much we're willing to spend on it. Wi-Fi or wireless? Wired-fi? If there's wired-fi or fired-fi.
根拠があって言っているのか。
I pretended to remain calm. Maho seems shocked at her own words.
私どうかして
Thank
い
you,
るの？
Samuses.
こんな妄想を口にするなんて。
The girl's crying because we can't afford the new Steam Link.
平城さん。
Maho started to cry. Quoted because you think that'll be absolutely hilarious, confusing for people not aware of this conversation. You are entirely true. Even looking at it now, I'm like, that barely makes sense as it is. I didn't know what to do when she started crying right in front of me.
どうしたのかしら？私こんな急に。
I still can't believe we have 104 quotes. Maybe you should have included dashes or camel case. Yeah, maybe camel case, because like Wi-Fi you usually do. Usually I see people do it's not camel case, Pascal case, where you capitalize the first letter as well. She used her fingers to wipe away the tears. She seemed pretty unstable. I can sense a lot more fragility than I'd seen before. She looked like she'd been psychologically pushed to the limit. Yeah, I often forget what it's called, and I just refer to everything as Pascal case, and then I'm like, oh, I want the one where it capitalizes on the first letter. Veets customs case, also known as a what have you got in the briefcase? All the things she'd experienced must have taken a toll on her, like Daru. Is just is a toll on everyone. When we were all talking on video chat, I hadn't seen any signs of that at all. Should I tell her? Yeah, Python formatting is why I don't like Python. If she was researching a time machine, that was a bad sign. She might start looking into things and open doors that should remain closed. That was the camel case. I should just tell her what I experienced, and then have her give up, just like I did.
わかった。
Also, I don't think I showed you this. We're a couple days later. It's now the 6th of July. I think we were the 3rd on the date.
絶対に誰にも他言無用だ。それともう一度これだけは言っておく。マキセ・クリスを救おうとは考えるな。いいな。
She nodded as she wiped away the tears. I told her about the events in the Alpha World line, about the time machine, about reading Steiner, about the method of sending memories back through time that I called a time leap, about how Chrisu developed a time leap machine that made this possible, about Suzuha Amane, the time traveler from the year 2036, about the future Suzuha had told us about in the Third World War, and my drug dealer, because this is amazing stuff. And about how the race to develop a time machine would set off that war. I told her all these things, as matter-of-factly as I could. As for how Chrissy died, I couldn't tell her that. When I told her everything, she fell silent for a bit. She took a deep breath, frowned, and rubbed her temples.
頭が痛いわ。
全て信じる必要はない。
Oh, I complain about the white space in Python. And I mean, from what I can tell, if Python is so dependent on white space, in my opinion, all Python code should be linted automatically as part of your build process, and that would solve most of your problems.
俺の頭がおかしいと思っても構わない。だが、もし君がタイムマシンの研究を続けてマキセ・クリスを救おうとするなら、俺はどんな手段を使っても止めるつもりだ。だから変な考えは捨てるんだ。自分を追い詰めるのはよせ。
I was about to say more, but Maho put her hand up to stop me.
もう少し整理させて。あなたの言うリーディングシュタイナーって新型脳炎のことじゃないの？レスキネン教授が話していた症状と同じだわ。
そうだな。そうかもしれない。レスキネン教授には話すべきかどうかまだ迷っているんだ。無用な混乱を招くかもしれないし、君はどう思う？
Your quirks don't amuse me, they baffle you for hours. Yeah, so, like, one of the first experiences I had with Python is I knew white space was an issue, was like a thing in Python. And, I can't remember what it was. I believe Python doesn't allow tabs. This was also Python 2. It might have even been 2.6. I don't even think it was 2.7. And I was just trying to write a simple app, and I was trying to debug something for... Okay. The issue I had, Samus's, was, for whatever reason, Yeah, you can't mix tabs and spaces. I think that was one of the issues I had. The other issue I had was it didn't like the tab spacing I had. I think tab spacing had to be a very specific number of spaces equals one tab. And my Visual Studio was set for a greater amount. I think it wanted 2 spaces to a tab, and mine was using 4. So I was trying to figure out this issue, and afterwards it was just like, oh, you just have to like remove half the spacing from your entire file. And when I saw that, yeah, so it probably was mixing up 2 and 4 tab spacing. But that took me 3 hours to debug, and after I found the problem, I was like, nope, and just like closed my laptop, and I was so mad at it.
私に聞かないで。
Since then, I've used Python very briefly in some machine learning algorithm testing. Ma was still massaging her temples with her
そう
fingers.
だな。すまない。
あなたはクリスのノート PC を本当に破壊してしまったの？
I think I was using Visual Studio 2017 Community Edition, I think was the one I was using at the time. It might have even been... Was it 2015 was the previous one? It might have actually been Visual Studio 2015 Community Edition. Currently I just use Visual Studio Code as my go-to.
ああ、壊した。
Sometimes you need to be able to walk away and not be unemployed.
中身は見た？
ロックの解除方法がわからなかったんだ。見ようがない。
Even Daru said he couldn't do it. There was no way I could do it on my own.
あなたはクリスが書いたタイムマシンに関するオリジナルの
Also, you still see 2017 as new.
いや、
Maho kept asking me questions. She seemed to be in some kind of strange
あな
hurry.
たはクリスがどうやってタイムリープマシンを完成させたか知っているの？
おおよそはな。
I remember Visual Basic.
再現できる？
That was, the first language I learned, actually, in high school. It was Visual Basic was the first coding course you could take, which was in your second year. And then 3rd year was Turing, 4th year was Turbo Pascal. Although I do know that some teachers continued with Turing into the 4th year.
どうだろうか。ダルの助けがあれば、あるいは。
できるのね。
俺一人じゃ難しい。
私なら。
そんなことは考えるな。
Yeah, the Python, I was trying to place when it was, and I think it might have actually been earlier than that, so that's why I was saying I think it might actually be Visual Studio 2015, because I think I was working on this about 6 years ago, 5.5, 6 years ago, which would place it in 2015. I don't even know what Micro Worlds is. Yeah, I mean, I've worked in a very large amount of programming languages to the point where putting most of them on my resume just doesn't make sense. But then in university, I did Java, JavaScript, Arduino, processing, Max MSP with Jitter. What else did I do? C, C++, and then for work I've done a whole lot of stuff. Typically we're using JavaScript, React, Node is our typical stack, but I'm currently using Ruby on Rails 2.0, which is no longer supported by Ruby, but the project I'm working on hasn't upgraded their stuff. PHP, C#, .NET. And then we'll have people who are using, you know, like WordPress or Liquid, which is Shopify's built-in language. Like, just a lot of stuff. Arduino has the worst IDE ever made. Then don't use processing. It's JavaScript, which I know you don't like, with the IDE of Arduino. Yeah, deprecation wasn't something people were hugely worried about. Micro Worlds is MS Paint, but the things you draw are called stamps and can have code. Okay, I kind of get it. It's, okay, I kind of understand it. So it's like, drop and connect, but also you can write code in it. That's actually kind of similar to Visual Basic, I guess. Though the code is atrocious. Place the turtle stamp down, that's the default stamp. You want to move it on the x-axis. How do you do this? You tell it to dog 90. Dog means move. 90 means left. What? This just sounds like someone was trying to codify training their pet. Dog, 90. The first month of class was learning to dog the turtle. This just sounds like... This just sounds like someone was tripping hugely when they wrote this. Maho suddenly grimaced, as if she was in pain. I realized how pale she was. Did she really have a headache or something? But she shook her head and kept asking questions. Or what if it's just you keep going in degrees? So if 90 is left and you're going counterclockwise, then yeah, 270 is right, 360 is straight, 450 is also left. So it dogs right by default. Can it only move in 90s? Can it dog in 90s? No, it can dog in any direction. Is cat stop? As it moves, it draws a line. I wasn't sure if I should say without Suzuha's permission. Maho looked so desperate that I found myself answering her question. Dog in dog plus random 5. Her shoulders slumped and her head dropped. I was worried that she might ask to see it for herself, but maybe she really was sick. I put my hand on her shoulders and looked at her face. There was no warning at all. Maho's tiny body slammed into me. The force was enough to push me back to the wall. Before I knew what was happening, her arm was against my throat. She was using the bone in her arm to put pressure on my windpipe. I couldn't breathe or speak. I twisted my body and tried to resist, still clueless as to what was going on. Then she used her other hand to grab my head and slam it back into the wall. Her strength was incredible. I was a lot bigger than she was, but I still couldn't escape her grasp. Her voice was very dark and very cold. And suddenly she moaned again and her face twisted in pain.
頭が割れそうよ。
She was crying again.
なんで私に話してくれたのよ。あなたは黙っているべきだったのに。
I couldn't escape. I grabbed onto her long hair and tried to pull her away, but she didn't move at all. It was as if she felt no pain. My phone had been vibrating in my pocket for a while now. I desperately tried to grab for it. I pressed the button without even looking at the screen. Please answer, Krisu. I was blacking out. Was I going to die here? Without even knowing why Maho was trying to kill me? But the whole time she was strangling me, Maho looked like she was in so much pain. Wait, was she still crying? Before I could figure out if her tears were real or an act, I passed out. When I woke up, my throat hurt. I tried to cover my mouth with my hands, but something was keeping them from moving. I opened my eyes and saw I was sitting in some kind of chair with my head facing downwards. I slowly raised my head. My hands were tied to the armrests with zip ties. When I tried to break out, the ties dug into my skin and hurt very badly. I tried looking around. It was a room I'd never seen before. There were machines that looked like they belonged in the operating room of a hospital. But the wall was lined with monitors. It was like a gamer's dream. Some kind of guard room or control room. I couldn't see any windows, only Linux. So I had no idea where I was. So Python hides pointers from the users and has a pretty simple system for where it moves by reference or moves by copy. Once on Python create a pointer to a basic integer, the value at the time was actually 1. You pass it as a pointer and not as a value. My throat hurt when I tried to talk. Then I remembered that Maho had almost killed me. Why had she done that? I felt more confused than angry.
Yeah, Rintaro. Mega sameta kai?
I heard footsteps and saw a wavering shadow beneath the dim fluorescent lights in front of me. I knew that voice.
Leskinen. Kyoju.
気分はどうかな。喉が渇いたなら水を用意させるよ。
I can tell you probably the most confusing bug I've ever come across. It was, we were developing for a client. All the developers on our side were using Mac, because that's what most people in our office used at the time. I've noticed all the new developers use Windows, but anyways, the client was testing in Windows. And the client noticed, the client was quite technical, and noticed that on Windows they weren't able to start the website. So we're like, huh, that's really weird. So I had a second laptop which had Windows. So I tried it on there and was like, yeah, you're right. It took me a day to track this down. What was happening was this. We were setting our environment variables via the environment on Mac or Windows, and then pulling from the environment into the application to get things like, you know, is the staging or prod, what's the database password, all those kinds of things. The issue was, on Windows only, Git was overriding one of our environment variables because they'd happened to name it the exact same thing and were overwriting what we were putting in. That took me a day to find, and I was just like, this is dumb. Why? When I looked again, I saw he wasn't alone. There were several men behind him in black suits. They were looking at me without saying a word, or being drawn. All of them were holding guns. it was, I can't even remember what it was. It was something very simple, like API underscore URL. It was something like that. Which I guess makes sense, because if you're, using Git, it has to call its own API, like, at some point, right? Like, that actually makes sense to me. But yeah. So we just started, like, prep-ending all of our variables with React underscore to make it entirely clear that it was for our application, which was in React. I would say so, Samus's. Like, if you prep-end everything with, like, Git, that would probably fix mostly everything. And if someone's using a variable of their own creation for their own website that starts with Git underscore, that's their own fault. They looked like men in black and reminded me of the foreigners I'd almost ran into at Daru's shop 6 months ago. Or was it the same group? There were a lot of things I wanted to ask, but more than anything, I wanted to know why Dr. Lesson wasn't helping me. Of course, the first thing that came to mind was the obvious answer. It was Dr. Leskinen who had put me here, and Maho had captured me under his orders. But I didn't want to think about that. So all I could do was ask a stupid question like that.
君はまさに情報の宝庫だ。今や合衆国大統領にも匹敵する価値のある人物と言ってもいい。
He didn't answer me, but he showed me a self-satisfied smile. I could feel alarm bells going off in my head. I was getting more suspicious of Dr. Leskinen.
俺は監禁されてるんですか？
監禁というよりは保護と言った方がいいだろうね。君の価値が明らかになれば狙ってくる連中はたくさん出てくるはずだからね。
レスキネン教授が指示したんですか？
そうだよ。私がこうすべきだと判断した。
Yeah, so Samus says this was never an issue on Mac. On Mac, for whatever reason, Git didn't use the same environment variables, or it did it some other way. This was only a Windows issue.
Maho から君の持つ情報について聞いてね。
And I can't even remember what I did. I think like it was crashing before it could even start up. I think I just started printing out everything, including like all the configs and stuff. And then I noticed it and I'm like, why is this variable named like whatever, like why does this API variable have like a GitHub URL? Like what is going on?
ヒアジョーさんはどこです？
Yeah, Windows does have some really weird things.
ヒアジョーさんは俺から情報を引き出すために近づいてきたんですか？
Hello, Chaos. I mean, you're not too late to turn up. We're probably not going a whole lot longer, though.
最初はそうではなかったよ。結果的にはそうなんだけれど。
We're probably gonna let Leskinen just describe what Maho is doing and tell us his master plan, and then probably raid someone.
あなたも俺に親切にしてくれたのもそういう打算があったからですか？あなたは一体何者なんです？
まあまあ落ち着けなさい。
Good night, Samuses.
前に教えただろう。科学者たるもの、常に冷静でなければいけない。興奮していいのは実験が成功した時だけだと。
Instead of feeling calm, Dr. Leskinen's attitude is pissing me off. I felt betrayed. You're probably gonna do that at the end. There was rage, frustration, sorrow, and a lot of other feelings all mixed together as I gritted my teeth. Dr. Leskinen ignored me and gave a brief order in English to the other men. They left the room. Only Dr. Leskinen and I remained, just as was drawn. It was then I remembered the otherworld line that I'd been sent to. Shimoyama had told me that an American organization had demanded that I be turned over.
CIA か NSC か
But Dr. Leskinen only chuckled.
彼らは無能な公務員の集まりだよ。君はストラテジック・フォーカス社というアメリカの民間情報機関を知っているかな？
ストラテジック・フォーカス社
I'd heard of them before on a conspiracy theory website the old me used to read all the time. I remembered reading that they'd acquired top-secret information on Russian ballistic missiles that even the CIA couldn't get, and then sold it. The result was the destruction of the CIA's reputation, at the same time the total reorganization of Russia's military strategy. I'd even heard rumors that during the Gulf and Iraq wars they'd obtained information about the warring countries faster than anyone, and spread it as needed. The world's government supposedly called them the Shadow CIA. You have a long series of funnels and vacuum tubes.
本業はそっちだよ。もちろんね。ところで私はよくこういう説を唱える連中に出くわすんだ。人間は殺し合いをする猿である。人間の脳だけが大脳神秘質の発達によって狂った信仰や野望を持つようになり、そのせいで戦争が起きる。だが私はそうした説を聞くたびに思うのさ。そんなバカみたいな考え方は受け入れられない。でたらめだとね。ではなぜ人間同士の不毛な戦争がいつまでも終わらないのか。わかるかな、レンタロウ。
I mean, I figured as much, Chaos. I saw you were live. This was, I think, overnight for me. I had you on lurk on my phone as I was sleeping. I assume that's when Deadbeard made you drink a bunch of water.
それはね、情報のせいなんだよ。人間は誰しもあるコミュニティに属している軍隊だ。
I mean, I did a very similar thing to Irish one stream where he had like, I think he said he had a gallon of water, which is, it's not 9 liters. I think it's closer to 5. The redemption was Skull, 675 milliliter glass. Cooldown was 15 minutes. Yeah, I made Irish drink like 5 liters with just a regular hydrate that ran every 3 minutes, I think it was.
そして一つの群れとして生きることを余儀なくされているのさ。例を挙げてみよう。そうだな。
There's a streamer, I think it might be Teeksta, who has one that's like, it's very high, it's like 50k points or 75k points, and it's drink an entire pack of 24 water bottles in one sitting. The Irish bladder.
ヨーロッパのある国が行った人類史上最悪の大虐殺は何も中世の魔女狩りの時代に起こった出来事じゃない。20世紀も半ば、すでに原子爆弾すら作られていたそんな時代の話なんだよ。しかもその国は当時最先端の文明国家の一つだった。その国の指導者の資質問題は歴史学者に委ねるとして。 実際の現場で虐殺に手を染めた人々のことを
How did I know that was coming?
彼らはただの人殺しの猿だったのだろうか。違う。彼らはごくありふれた普通の人たちだった。脳科学的に見ても何一つ異常の見られない普通の脳だったはずだ。
You had 666 points had to be evil.
ところが、ひとたびそこにとある最悪の情報が伝播すると、途端に彼らの脳は平気で虐殺を行う軍隊と化してしまう。
最悪の情報。
これは我々の使命なのだ。
And Chaos Redeemed Stretch. Alright.
だから使命に従わない者は
A juggle stretch? Okay, we'll see what we can do.
そういう情報さ。
何が言いたいんですか。
Okay. Pre-juggle stretch. That needs to be a bit higher for when we do the juggle. Okay, pre-juggle stretch. Everyone loves a stretchy juggler. No, everyone loves the juggler who is either really good or who is awful and also uses fire and chainsaws, because that's a wonderful combination. Deadbeard is going to be thinking this the whole time I'm juggling. Oh god, please no shower scenes. I've got my hand on it. Gotta get them limbs flexible. Ugh. You'd let pesky hentai get in the way of your juggle fetish. Alright. Time for the juggle. Okay. Trying to think of... I don't know if I've ever started with all three in one hand. I'm not good at that. Actually, that was alright. But there's... If you know the, like the traditional juggling that clowns often do, where it's like... I can't even do it with two balls. But it's actually... I personally can't do it. It's supposed to be considered like an intermediate skill. It's just easier to animate is why they do it. But it's harder than this, which is your standard juggling. Then inverse standard. Oh, that's something I haven't done actually a whole lot is showers. Unrelated to meat showers. Showers just kind of refers to this kind of thing where you have... I don't know how to describe it. Kind of send like a couple at a time. I don't think that's something I've done. I'm only really good at it with my right hand. You probably have to be better at two-hand juggling, and my two-hand juggling is much better on my left hand, or my right hand than my left hand. What's some stuff I haven't done? Do tennis. Tennis is you just have the one ball that keeps going over top the other two, which are the net. I'm just thinking about the shower. Because that's not something I usually do. And stalls were probably the thing I was most interested in. So there's foot stall. For your foot fetish. I still can't believe I got that shoulder stall that other stream. I didn't think I'd be able to do that. Oh, way off. I saw a quote get added. The worst part is I don't know if it's a quote about balls or a quote about showers. There we go. Want something good to finish off with. Oh, know what I could try? I want to try that under the leg into the neck stall. But the trouble is trying to get it to go straight up so then I can get it into the neck stall. I wasn't high enough. Also a bit off center. There we go. Okay. Time to see what nonsense got quoted. Oh, I saw a couple quotes. Oh, I actually have to scroll back up chat for this. Okay, what have we got here? We got our feet time. One hand raisers. I require 3 balls, can't perform with 2, and extra ball makes it harder to animate. That's actually something I haven't done a lot of in that showers. Gosh dang it. You think I'm Australian in disguise? Why am I Australian in disguise? I mean, yeah, probably I'm getting better at juggling, because before, I used to juggle a lot in high school and university. I kind of stopped it until I did streaming again. That was when I got back into it. I'm just thinking about the shower because that's not something I usually do. Gosh dang it. The 2 showers, no balls. I share the dark humor.
人間の脳という脆い軍隊のための情報はきちんと制御できるものが管理しなくてはならないということだよ。それがストラテジックフォーカスの最終目的だ。
As long as my shower doesn't end with my neighbors walking in and saying this, I'm okay. Here comes the shower water I treat. I really hope my neighbors aren't drinking my shower water.
私はそれに共感して脳科学者でありながらエージェントとして協力している。分かってくれたかな？
わかりません。そんなのよくある映画の悪役のへりくつだ。結局あなたは金で情報を売買してるだけじゃないですか。俺が情報の宝庫だって言いましたよね。
You love the idea that they'd break in but also be that polite.
タイムマシンの情報を一体どの国に売るつもりです？アメリカ、中国、それとも中東やアフリカの紛争地域ですか？
そのすべてだよ。
Leskinen shrugged his shoulders and quietly laughed.
核兵器と同じさ。抑止力としてあらゆる国に必要だと思っている。
タイムマシンは核兵器なんかとはわけが違う。それが使われたかどうか誰も気づかない。もしかしたら使った本人さえも気づかないうちに世界は改変されてしまうんだ。抑止力になんかならない。どの国も誰がどう世界線をいじったのかすら感知できないまま狂ったように改変を続けるでしょう。永遠に。
その通り。タイムマシンは核兵器以上にデリケートだ。だからこそ君たちの能力が必要となる。 君は確かリーディングスタイナーと名付けたそうだね。どうやら新型脳炎とほぼ同じ症例だとか。
That's right, Luskin was researching the new encephalitis, too.
我々は新型脳炎患者が過去改変を感知できるのかもしれないというところまでは突き止めていてね。ずっとその確証を求めていたんだ。世界中の諜報機関も同じ。躍起になって調べている。
I hated myself for not realizing the possibility sooner. I'd always had the wrong idea. I thought the reason the new encephalitis patients were being brought together was to give them meaningless treatment. But I was naive. Too naive. Leskinen and Stratofor's goal was to gather people at the Reading Steiner and study them.
さっきマホから君の特筆すべき能力のことを詳細に聞かせてもらったよ。本来君からはクリスの失われた成果について聞き出せればそれでいいと思っていたが、新型脳炎の情報まで出てくるとは。君は最高だ。
He may have sniffed it to immortalize it in JPEG form.
でも我々は世界に対して一歩先んじることができる。というか、君はどうしてもっと早く私にその能力のことを話してくれなかったんだい。そうすれば君の友人勝美の脳もあそこまでいろいろといじくらないで済んだのに。
Katsumi Nakase? Did he mean Fubuki?
それに君が話してくれていたなら魔法の脳に施術をすることもなかったんだ。
ヒアジョさんまで。
Is that why she was acting so weird?
あなたの助手だろ。あなたを尊敬し慕っていたのに、そんな人体実験みたいな真似を。
Snipping tool is what I use as well.
今後人類に貢献する情報を手に入れるために必要なことだったんだ。それにそんなに慌てなくても大丈夫。魔法も勝美も将来少し脳機能に障害が残る程度で済むはずだ。
あんた狂ってる。
For the first time, I felt hatred for, and fear of, the man in front of me. I feel like that's a good line to stop on, because it'll set a good scene for the start of next stream. And I was honestly trying to find a good place to stop at it, because honestly, he's probably going to monologue for like the next 20 minutes.